Well, happy Friday, Facebook. Want to give you another little cyber update, and I apologize if I start swatting my head. I'm sitting outside and getting eaten by mosquitoes. So I just want to give you, there was a couple of interesting things that were announced in the last week that I thought would be kind of interesting to let you know about. First is that there's a company called Twilio. Now, a lot of us don't know it, but we are using their framework backbone oftentimes on a daily basis. They do a lot of texting type stuff, and so I believe WhatsApp uses them. When you message in Facebook, you're using one of their systems. I think you can also use it as standalone and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff that they do. Well, they were recently hacked. And the way that they were hacked is a couple of their employees fell for a smishing scam. Now, smishing, right, if you know phishing, right, that's somebody pretending to be somebody else and reaching out and tugging on your heartstrings for some reason. Smishing is when they send a text and it doesn't, it's not actually from whom it is. So right now, for example, in the last week, I've received 3 messages purporting from Amazon swearing up and down that my account is going to get closed. But when I look at the URL that I'm supposed to click in, right inside the text, of course, it's not from Amazon. Amazon does not close down accounts that are paid up and do it within 24 hours. So anyway, that's what happened with Twilio. And so, and then they were able to, through using those credentials, to get into some of their stuff. Now, according to Twilio, nothing that we have to worry about was stolen. So we don't have to worry about changing any passwords or anything like that. But I would still probably consider changing passwords for, at least Facebook is the big one that most of us use, especially since if you're seeing me on here. Now, the second one, actually, it may be the same bad actors, is a company called Cloudflare. Now, if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, or even if you work for a company and you do website or anything like that, this name might be familiar for you. They do a lot of DNS protection. They are the ones that when the internet sends information, it goes to them and they let everybody know where to go, right? But they have a lot of protection to stop the bad guys from coming in. So they're actually playing a really, really critical role in internet infrastructure. They've got clients all over the world. And so they had a couple of employees who also fell for this similar smishing scam and also released their credentials. And what it sounds like is in both of these cases is that Twilio and Cloudflare were in fact targeted. Now, in the case of Cloudflare, absolutely nothing ended up happening because each employee also needs a physical key in order to access the corporate systems. So those of us who use Cloudflare, and I'm one of the people, many millions and millions of people who use Cloudflare, don't have to worry about anything that got stolen because nothing did get stolen. But the point of this whole thing is that what I suspect is happening, right, and not just in case of smishing, is that I know for a fact that most of us, I don't, but most of you will not be using will not be using enough authentication, and your credentials are the same when you go to different websites. And what I mean by that is you're using the same user ID and password again and again and again. And what you don't realize is that even if you are small potatoes, right, they don't care. They're going to steal your stuff. Your information gets posted on the dark web and you're screwed because that's all they want. When they're looking at my password and they've broken into, like they did to Twitter, as I mentioned last week, when they post it on Twitter, and they break into Twitter and get 5.4 million user ID passwords, or their passwords associated with the user ID, email address, and all that other good stuff. It doesn't matter for me because that I don't use the same password for that account that I use for anything else because everything is random in the way I do that. And so that's one of the ways that we need to be protecting ourselves, is we need to make sure that we are always using different user ID and passwords. And that's the first line of defense, right? Now in Cloudflare's case, their second line of defense was like, look, if you're going to hand out your information, you also have to have a physical key. Now, if bad guys really want to get in touch with Cloudflare, they're probably going to have to literally assault or kidnap or steal something from somebody, and that sounds terrible. But people who are going after Cloudflare are either trying to go for the big bang and being able to lock their computers down and charge them, try to get some ransomware out of them, or, I believe it or not, corporate secrets. It could also be espionage from other countries, organized crime. I mean, everybody's involved in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity costs more than all natural disasters and the international drug trade everywhere in the world. So to give you an idea of the cost of that. But anyway, just coming back to remind you all to make sure to be using different IDs and passwords. I have a master password class coming up that if you do not use super complicated random passwords, and I know it sounds really overwhelming, but in the master class, I promise I will make it as simple as possible. We will actually go through and install everything together and to start the process. And once you learn how to do this, you're going to not believe that you could ever survive without it. So anyway, I hope you all have a great Friday, and I'll be back at you.